No, the row is bottled up. Keep hearing about this Kansas City barbecue, you know, so I'm gonna try.
No fair making us all hungry.
What's that?
No fair making us all hungry. All right, Jeff Burton joins us. Big race, third race of the chase. Lots going on.
Yeah, we are. We were happy about our effort last week. So far we're only 20% through this thing, but I feel like we put a good effort out so far, and we've got to find a way to step that up even more. But feel good about coming here. We've historically not had a lot of good finishes here, but at the same time I feel like we have much better equipment than we've ever had. So looking forward to seeing if we can't step it up a little bit and get going.
Sounds good. Questions? Hands in the air? Anybody? We'll start with Hembry.
Mike Hembry, Speed.com. Jeff, can we take the guys who are 100 or more points behind and pretty much say they're out of it, or can a lot of things still happen?
Well, I think a lot of things can still happen. Certainly as the thing goes on, more people are going to get eliminated. It's the problem is when you start getting enough points behind and a lot of people between you and the leader, you got to go through all of them. So that makes it more difficult. So yeah, obviously some people's chances are lower than they were when the thing started. And I think there are a few teams that are teetering on not being able to be afforded another bad race. I think I don't want to say anybody's eliminated, but certainly people are getting really close.
Bob.
Bob Pocker, SleanDaily.com. TV ratings been down more than 20% for the two chase races. I was wondering do you even know that? And while you expect them maybe to be down a little bit just from the natural cyclical part of TV ratings, it seems pretty dramatic from looking at the numbers the first 2 weeks.
Well, I didn't know that. I don't really make it part of my day to look at TV ratings. I do think it's important, but I think that there's a some of it's confusing to me. I really believe, and y'all feel free to disagree with me, but I really feel like the racing has been better. I think the racing has been good. I think the double file restart thing has been good. We've had some green flag runs in those races, but at the same time, people got to tune in at the start of the race. If they're not tuning in at the start of the race, then that's a concerning factor. I don't have the answer for it. I just don't. I feel like the racing's good. I feel like we've had 10 races, 10 winners. I think the last 10 races have been 10 different winners. Is that right? So it's not like there's not parity. It's not like there's not when Jimmy won 4 championships, everybody said, was that bad for the sport? Well, now we got 10 people that have won 10 races. Is that bad for the sport? I don't have the answers for it. I just believe that our sport's got to continue to grow, continue to improve. And if we do continue to improve, the people are going to watch. And, why they're not watching now, I just don't have an answer for that.
David, raise your hand for the microphone.
David Careville, NASCAR.com. Harvick and Denny evidently made peace this week from their situation in Dover. And I wonder, from a driver's perspective, is there an etiquette to that process? Do you have to wait amount of time to call the other guy? Are you worried he's going to hang up on you? How does it vary from person to person?
It's a person-to-person thing. And honestly, you deal with everybody and every situation differently. There's not a script that came with the owner's manual that said this is how you handle that situation. You just got to kind of feel your way through it. And I think it depends on the personalities. I think it depends on what the history is, the willingness of the participants to move forward. Sometimes you just don't want to hear it. You don't want to move forward. You've had your opinion set. You're not willing to change it. And sometimes there's a willingness to agree to disagree, and sometimes there's a willingness just to forget it and move on. And it's just a lot of it is the incident and the personalities involved. It is clear, though, that once that wound's open, it's real easy to reopen, and any little thing opens it back up pretty quickly.
Nate, raise your hand.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Jeff, Clint was just in here, and you could tell, even though they lost the appeal, the weight of the world is off his shoulders. And he was talking about that last week, the 33 team's head wasn't in the game, and that might have contributed to where they finished. What do you make of that from the RCR perspective? Could you tell they were a little bit off last week, and do you think that this week, him being home, this is a good chance from the rebound?
Well, the thing I've tried to impress to Clint, or impress on Clint, is that we live in a moment, and we think that in that moment everything revolves around that. And in 2 weeks there's going to be another conversation about some other controversy. I told him that at Dover, and it took about 10 minutes. So maybe that was part of the plan. But it's really difficult, to go from the emotion. Think about it. Make the chase. Close, made the chase. We all at RCR feel like each individual team is capable of winning a championship. They go to New Hampshire, win the race, second in points. Hey, this thing's laid out really well. 2 days later, you're in this process of being called a cheater. You're in the process of, all the stuff that and that's a lot. It's a lot. And there's no way it's not a distraction. There's no way you can just shut it off and say it's not happening. It's who's my crew chief next week? Who's going to be the car chief? It's a big distraction. There's no way around it. So in some ways, having the appeal process over, well, almost, it's not over, but that part of the appeal process over, even though it wasn't the result they were looking for, you're now able to move on. And so it's really, it's hard to forget that a year from now, that's not going to be the center of the right now, it's the center of the world. That's what everybody wants to talk about. But it's going to move, and it's going to be okay. And that's what I've tried to impress on him. I've lived it. I got my rookie of the year. We got thrown out of the race. They called us at Richmond and said, you can't race tonight. You go home. And, I thought my world was coming to an end. But I look on it now, and it's just a blip. It's a blip on the radar. I don't forget it, but it's a blip on the radar. And that's what this will be. It'll be a learning experience. It'll be something that the whole company is stronger for. He's stronger for, wiser. And at the end of the day, it'll make the company better, and it'll make him better.
Brian, raise your hand.
Jeff, Brian Nelson, MRN Radio. What's the feedback been like from sponsors this year with all three of the Childress cars in the chase versus last year where you missed out? I presume that when you're in the chase, that the sponsors get a lot more bang for their buck.
Well, I don't want to diminish our poor year last year, but our sponsors weren't calling and saying what the hell's going on. We were really upfront with our sponsors and tell them what's going on and tell them the truth and try to be really honest with them. And they were all disappointed. Caterpillar came into a situation that had made the chase 3 years in a row and had honestly, legitimately contended for 2 of those championships. And then we're not even in the chase. So obviously everybody was disappointed, but nobody was calling, demanding and screaming and yelling. Everybody was disappointed, but we try to be really honest and upfront with them. And our sponsors are, they're wise to the sport. They understand that this isn't easy. There's other teams out there that have drivers and have crew chiefs and have engineers too. And they're trying to beat us. So certainly everybody's more upbeat last year, but I don't want it to feel like they're upbeat more this year. I don't want it to feel like last year they were just in a panic, because I never got the sense of any of our sponsors being in a panic.